everyone, Dr. Beth Westy here, and I wanted to come on and talk about hot flashes, night sweats, all that fun stuff that women kind of go through. Now, when we talk about some of these things with hot flashes and night sweats, a lot of women notice that they experience this when they're going through perimenopause or even still in menopause. And it's not just excluded to those women, right? A lot of women will notice they're having hot flashes if they have a really bad hormonal imbalance. It might happen a certain time of the month regularly. Some women will be like, yeah, I remember having these really bad hot flashes or night sweats really bad after I had a kid or, was under a lot of stress, something like that, right? This is more, the night sweats are more than like, oh, I wasn't feeling good, so I sweat out a fever type of thing. This is, you're waking up, it's regularly, it's consistent. It can be, again, during a cycle. Like women can have a cycle, right? You can be menstruating and be like, oh yeah, typically right around ovulation or right before my period or right during the start of it, I'll have hot flashes or I'll wake up sweaty or just like really warm. Ugh. Which is a pain because when your system has a hot flash of any kind, and at night they're just called night sweats, right? Your body has this whole reaction, and a big reaction part of that is that your body will release adrenaline. What? Why? Why would it do that? Why would it do that? My body's going to naturally release adrenaline in the middle of the night? Yeah, because this is where you can't get back to sleep then. So night sweats at night, and this is why this is happening, right? Your brain thinks that you're too warm, and you're like, okay, then why would you heat it up more? Yeah, because with that hot flash, you're getting this huge flush through the body. And what does it force your system to do? Sweat all over, which cools it down. One of the fastest ways for your body to cool down is sweat. It makes your whole system cool down really quickly, right? Because then that sweat, that liquid has to evaporate, taking with it a lot of that heat from your body. So efficient. Your body's so efficient. Yeah. But seriously, that's what happens. Your body is going to sense that. Now, why would that happen? How is your body going to sense that? Well, typically if your hormones are off, and again, this happens a lot in perimenopause. It happens a lot in perimenopause where your hormone system is off. Typically when you're going through perimenopause and into menopause, what happens is that estrogen here, so this is the cycle, right? Day 1, day 14, day 28, right? Typical cycle. This is the estrogen in blue, progesterone is red. Typically, I know I'm not an artist, it's about, but typically what you're going to see is that the estrogen levels are going to drop here, right? And when the estrogen levels start to drop and they're not as high anymore, you have this imbalance. And that estrogen drop tells your brain that it's too warm. That's the response and reaction, and then hot flash to cool down, right? Yeah. Now the other piece of this too is that some women will experience hot flashes or night sweats or other things like that, and they're like, well, I got my hormones tested and my estrogen is high but my progesterone is low. What the heck? Yeah, it can still happen from having that imbalance, right? Absolutely. Essentially, your body's not processing your hormones correctly. It's triggering something in your brain. What? These are just female hormones. How could they impact the brain? Yeah, these pass through the blood-brain barrier. Yeah, these hormones pass through the blood-brain barrier. They go everywhere in the body and they impact every system that you have. I'm doing a lot of hand movements right now to get this point across because it's so true. I'm getting aggressive. I'll put them down. But it impacts everything, head to toe. Yes. So when you have an imbalance or you have things shift with your hormones here, of course, right? So of course it impacts your brain, tells you that you're too warm. You get this hot flash, which is a flush, right? Everything gets warm. Your system just automatically does it. If you think about it, it's kind of cool that your body has the ability to have a reaction and a response like that, and it just right through your system, right through your body, and you sweat all over. And then the result of that sweating, because that's what will happen, a hot flash, you sweat, and then you get cold. So for women who have the night sweats and they get really hot, they sweat, and then they get really cold after, the body's thinking, yes, it worked. I did it. But what it really does is disrupt your sleep horribly. Another super fun thing, again, that happens because of that hot flash, that rush of everything, along with the rush of everything and blood, vasodilation, everything else that happens in the body, it's also giving you a rush of adrenaline. So if this is happening at 2 a.m., that you're getting a hot flash or having night sweats at 2 a.m., you also have a rush of adrenaline at 2 a.m., which means you're going to wake up because you're hot and uncomfortable and sweaty, and then you're awake and you're bing, like awake, and you can't just go back to sleep. You have adrenaline in your system. You can't just go back to sleep. And then you're going to get cold because you're wet and cold. And again, your body's thinking, yes, great, I prevented you from overheating. You're welcome. I know, for those of you that are listening and they're like, oh my gosh, that's me. That's totally it. What do I do about this? What do I do about this? Well, depending on where you're at, depending on what you have going on in your body, in your system, all these other things, right? There's a lot that can be done. There's a lot. I listed out just a few general things here. What I typically like to do, though, is really recommend something that's more specific to you based on your health history, how long this has been going on, where you're at in your hormonal phase, right? I talk about this in my book, The Female Fat Solution. I talk about the 7 bodies of Eve. So if you're like, yeah, I'm not even in menopause, why am I having hot flashes? Or, hey, I've been in menopause for years, why am I still having hot flashes, right? You're going to find out a ton more information about nutrition that matches the female hormones in my book. And this is on Amazon, so there's that. But to make sure I'm making the right recommendation for you, there is opportunity, because my 12-week challenge, it is closed now. We've registered everybody, but there are a couple of slots that are open for working with me one-on-one. And you can fill out the link right there to learn more about that one-on-one program that's in the comments. Because the 12-week challenge that I have it's amazing. But since that is full, if you're still looking at getting some progress made, that is the place to do it. But it really depends on you, right? Now, some of these things I listed up here, this is by no means should you do all of these. You should not just be like, oh, I see these things listed, I should just take all of them. Please do not. That's going to actually make things worse, probably. Because, well, what do you mean? Why? Because these things do different things in the system, right? Depending on what your body is doing and when this has been going on and how long this has been going on, right? For some women, taking something like a chasteberry, that says chasteberry, by the way. It looks like it says chask. It does not. I wrote that quickly. I can't find a chask. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. Chasteberry. There we go. Chasteberry is really good for overall hormone regulation, things like that. For gals that have a cycle or they're maybe still in peri, sometimes I will recommend this. Sometimes. But just some things to do research on, right? My goal here is to give you information so that you can actually look at a lot of different things and say, oh my gosh, yes, this is actually helpful. Or holy crap, yes, I didn't realize that because I'm in this phase versus that phase that I should be looking at taking something like this versus that, versus what my neighbor took and helped her. I tried it, it didn't help me. Yeah, because your hormones are doing something totally different than hers are. Okay, so chasteberry, black cohosh is another thing that's very popular for that. So, yam, right? People talk about that. That's to actually help boost these estrogen levels so they don't drop, right? So again, different angles that you're trying to work on things. Again, taking all these things is not necessarily going to help because you're not working with the origin of the problem if you don't know it. DIM or I3C, these are actual herbs that help process hormones better. So if you've gotten your hormones tested and you know exactly where the issue is, it can be helpful to recommend this. Now, again, this is one of those that sometimes women will say, oh my gosh, I found this supplement and I thought it was going to be really helpful. I took it and it made it a lot worse. Yes, this is one of those. If you do take it and it's not the right thing for you, it's going to make it worse. Not something that you want, right? But overall, a lot of times, because these hormones drop quickly, and if your liver is not processing the hormones well enough, right? And our livers are bombarded with so much already that your liver gets backlogged. It has a hard time working through all of these things. Then it ends up giving you a hot flash because essentially the shift and change in hormone, it's not going well. So it can feel like you get hit by a truck sometimes, just like, ugh, what's happening? Yeah. Another thing with the liver too that you got to realize is that anytime you have other triggers, it can make your hot flashes worse. Triggers can be things like alcohol. Yeah. Oh my God, alcohol, really? Yes, alcohol. Why? Because liver. Your liver has to process through that. And a lot of sugars at one time, same thing. Liver has to work through all these things. Chocolate, coffee, right? All these things can be, just add that much more to what your body's already processing, which makes it harder to put up with already what's going on hormonally, leading to more hot flashes. Such good news, such good news. What do we do about it? We make sure that we are recommending the right thing for your body, your system, to help move things in the right direction. So, yes, what should you take? It depends on what you have going on. I'm just hoping that this is enough information for you to start doing some really quality research on your own and say, okay, if it is a liver thing for me, it's going to be this. If it is just a hormone thing for me, maybe I could try that, right? And if you have any questions or want to actually work one-on-one with me, that is where the link in the comments is going to come in really handy for you. Other resources I have for you besides my book, I have a podcast called The Female Health Solution. A lot of information there, as well as my YouTube channel is called Dr. Beth Westy. And you can view all my archived videos there. Yes. All right, that's what I got for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. If you guys want to talk more about hot flashes and menopause, or things like that, let me know, because I listed off some things like foods that can trigger it. There's a lot of other triggers too. So if you're like, yeah, I'm really eating clean, I'm having a hard time figuring out what my other triggers are, let me know. We can talk about some of those other triggers too, if you're wanting to get to the bottom of this. So either comment on this video, shoot me a message. I'm here as a resource for you, but let me know how else I can help you. But this is a big area to get cleaned up that you can help feel a lot better. Because if you're having a hormone issues like this, I guarantee your body's not processing these hormones really well, and if you're having adrenaline spikes in the middle of the night, you're not sleeping well, which means your metabolism is not working. Yay! It all goes hand in hand. Everything connects together. Sometimes it's wonderful, sometimes it's not. Okay. All right. Have a great rest of your night, you guys. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you later.